The job of fixing the tow rail to the boat falls to Ton and Tui, who work together. Ton outside, Tui below. They put each piece in place to make sure that it fits, and then they secure it with bolts through to the inside. Once each piece has been placed and has had holes drilled through, and they're happy with each piece of wood, they'll be removed from the deck and taken down below to Pong, who then has to do a little bit more work on the wood. He's going to shave around 5mm off as he takes each piece and routes the corner, getting rid of any nasty sharp edges. At the moment they are just a little bit too angled, so we're going to smooth those off nicely. Once he's rounded the corners, Pong's other job is going to be to angle the ends of each of our tow rails. We've put a mark there which gives a rough idea to the camera how those ends are going to look. Here we are. That's the first angle that's been finished on the tow rail. Number one son, Ton, has been put in charge of this job. I think he's made a great job of it. He's angling all of them. There's the other one opposite it. And then they'll come off and he'll start routing those sharp edges there along the top so we get that nice round finish. So that's the piece of wood that I've signed off for Ton to follow for the tow rail. Beautifully rounded at the top there. No nasty angles for toes and ankles to get caught on. If you look very carefully, you'll see there are two little corners that have been penciled here. Those are going to be routed out, so they will provide very narrow channels on the connecting sides of the rubbing strake, which will allow us to put more Sikaflex in there, and also mean that the tow rail will be on for 25 years like the last tow rail. That's the idea and that's the theory. So Ton is in charge of this project, and if anything goes wrong it's Ton's fault. The tow rails have all been routed. Those two grooves in the corners have been taken out, ready to receive the sealant, and each side has been masked off before it goes up on deck. Here's the sealant we're going to use. It's 3M 5200, which I am told should give us a completely watertight tow rail. This is one of the sections of the tow rail that's now been put back into place, and you can see the adhesive, or hopefully you can hardly see the adhesive, against the white of the deck there. The final job, once they've put all the tow rail sections back onto the deck and they've screwed in the stainless steel bolts, will be to route that top section so that it's rounded. I've been told by both Ton and Un that it's much easier to do this in situ on the deck than down below on their carpentry table. This is what the tow rail looks like from the other side. Of course, once it's all in and finished, it will just be cleaned up. As you can see, there are a couple of little pieces there that will have to come off. But on the whole, they've done a pretty good job first go, I think. In between working on both the tow rail and the rubbing strake, Pong gets on with other internal jobs. Here, he's lining the lid of the fridge, as you can see there, in the same laminate as it has on the top. Before Pong was whipped off to go and help another boat, he had time to put the handle in the fridge lid. I tell you what, this fridge lid is really heavy. Oh my word. Well, I can just open it. But we have got a very good handle here. It's the same one as we use in the lazarette, and that is even heavier, so I'm confident, she said without sounding it, that the handle will do a good job. Un has now got to come up with some kind of plan for holding the fridge door up. The original idea of putting a gas type of hinge, don't know what the proper word is, we've thrown out the window. We're going to have some kind of mechanical device that just holds the fridge door up when we're rooting around in there for our gins and tonics.
Probably 15 mil. This gate here, 15 mil. You can see white paint of the old frame.
So it'll all be white paint.
Yep.
Yeah. Un's just going through with Pong here on how to make the box that's going to protect the Z8, our computer which lives in the cockpit. We'll make a template, we'll put it in the box, and then we'll fix it in the cockpit against the binnacle, just to work out what to do next with it. This is the beginning of the bones of our box for our Z8, which will be in the cockpit. It's early days yet, just getting it to fit precisely, which Pong has been doing and pretty much has finished. So now the next job will be to round off these corners, and also he's going to take the side right back, if I can find. Here we are. There you go. So the back will go like this around the piece of equipment, the Z8, nice and smooth and round at the back. This is the front here, and if you see inside, the plan is to have a hinged door in the side here, which will allow us to open it and get to the wires. Been cable city today here on the boat. Sombat has been cabling forward to the triducer. You can see some of the cable there. He installed the compass, but in actual fact it's in the wrong place. It needs to go higher, so he's going to move it into this locker here. He's put a cable all the way through from the chart table up to the binnacle for our T41s, our repeaters, and for our main computer. And he's also cabled through to the back, which is just behind him, to the autopilot. We have, these are all the different cables, but it looks like spaghetti junction to me. This means something to Sombat. All I can say to you is he's been working all day, all afternoon on this. We have a very slight problem in that there's a connector here, which as far as we can see we only have one of, but we think we need more. So we're going to see how it plays out at the end of the day, and possibly Jamie might have to bring back some more of this particular connector if I can get it in focus. This week we reduced our workers. We now only have one varnisher, and this is Dang. He thinks that probably, and I say probably as a tie probably, that he should have everything finished within the next 3 weeks. So we could even have all the varnish completed by the time Jamie gets back. But to be honest with you, I'm not going to put a bet on it. This is the last but one layer that Dang is doing here. He'll let this varnish dry. I mean polyurethane, of course. And then he'll sand it one more time, and then the top coat is sprayed on for an absolutely flawless finish. So the coffee tabletop that we were looking at earlier had one piece down the side that was a different colour to all the rest of it. We talked this through together, Un and I and Dang, and since he'd already put 4 layers of polyurethane on, we didn't really want to have to do too much. We didn't want to have to remove the whole piece of wood. So Dang stripped it back, sanded it off, and he stained it. And he stained it in such a way that it still shows the grain. So it's just this little piece here. It looks different at the moment, obviously, because it's glossy. It's got the polyurethane and the stain on it. But when that is sanded off, it should fall in quite nicely with the rest of the table. Yes, of course, you can still see that it's quite a clear edge, and each piece of the edge is different. Don't mind that, that's fine. We just didn't want to have that one very light, odd-looking piece that actually even looked like another piece of wood. Dang prepares this door for its very last coat, which will be sprayed on. Just giving little final touches there to the edges. And then he'll take it to his office, his dust-free office that he's made out here, and he'll spray that final 7th coat on later today. The rubbing strake is now in place. It's been epoxied in and is ready to have the stainless steel rods inserted into the groove. The rubbing strake has been sanded top and bottom, fitted, fixed, glued, and now finally our stainless steel rods are back in place. It has never looked so clean and shiny.